Part 30. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 296. As soon as the Baron Humphrey bowed his head, he saw 3 books on the table, which were the 3 masterpieces of Sci-fi printed by his own printing house. Bixawu's Pinyin. Xavi Frost is a very good young mage. He has now been promoted to become a high-level magician. He opened a magical school on Caprea Island and is dedicated to cultivating magicians for the kingdom. Humphrey did not say much information. Charles VIII stood up and looked for the location of Caprea on the map of France behind him. Hey, such a small island. A young high-level magician can find a very comfortable place in Pili to continue his magic research? No wonder to use this method to enroll. Charlie VIII turned around. Humphrey, help me to tell the Cavaliers, if he can train 100 official magicians for the kingdom, he can become a viscount. For Charles VIII, even if Xavi Frost is successful in the school of magic on a remote island, it takes 10 to 20 years to train 100 magicians. It's hard work at the time, and it's not a big deal to reward him with a son. I will tell you the words of Sci-fi Master, Baron Humphrey said excitedly. He knows that there are more than 15 magicians in the Violet Academy. I am afraid that it will be able to be made by His Majesty the King in 3 years. Condition. Originally, the heirs of the Bonaparte family and a knight's title were married. Even if it was a mage lord and a pioneering knight, it was somewhat imperfect, but if Sylvester Frost could take this opportunity to gain the appreciation of His Majesty the King, become a viscount, that would be great. The Seine River has been fertile by King Dupai, and the island of Sci-fi is a sacred and beautiful island in the city. On this small island, there is a tall, towering, and magnificent building, all made of white marble. The building is the famous Cathedral of Notre Dame de Paris, the Church of the Glorious Lord throughout the parish church of the French parish. Standing on the banks of the Seine, overlooking the tall Notre Dame Cathedral, the huge door is surrounded by statues, one layer after another. The stone statue is getting smaller and smaller. All the columns are tall and slender, and they are connected to the upper pointed arch. The atrium is narrow, tall and long. Looking up at the church from the outside, the tall form and the bell tower and spire on the top make people feel a majestic look to the blue sky. The church was praised as the Symphony of the Rock. Since the completion of the Holy Calendar in 1127, the coronation ceremony, weddings, and funerals of the French kings have been held here. Since the 30 Years' War, the power of the Church of the Glorious Lord in the Holy Norman Empire has weakened to the extreme, so the Kingdom of France, which is still faithful to the glory of the Lord, has become the largest jurisdiction of the entire Glorious Lord Church. The Archbishop of the Cathedral of Notre Dame of Paris is a member of the Cardinal Conference of the Church of the Glorious Lord, a legendary Lord of the Glory of the Lord, Andes de Sully. Being able to add a German word between the first name and the last name means that this is a pastor who has a deep research in theology and is highly respected and knowledgeable. He wore a red priest's robes, revealing a luxurious and sacred atmosphere. His age was already great, and it seemed as if he was about to see the age of the glorious Lord at any time. In the contemplative room of the apse of Notre Dame, Cardinal Andes is looking at a book with his eyes full of wisdom. This book is not the Church to High-Level Essay The Apocalypse of Light, but by Sci-fi Magic Popular Reading. Respected Cardinal Bishop, this book is spreading magic widely. This Sylvester Frost is a devil. He is competing with my Lord for faith. Once the magic is widely spread, I am afraid to be pious to my Lord. The number of believers will be less. I also ask the bishop to allow me to take this devil who is going to and let him repent in front of my Lord. A young and handsome knight, who looks young and handsome, said that he is a member of the Knights of the Glorious Church and is now less than 30 years old. He is already a glory knight who has obtained the certificate of the Master. Stern, now is not 300 years ago. My Lord created everything, omnipotent, is the supreme supremacy, cannot be named, cannot be described. Cardinal Anses said plainly, it is a pity his radiance is gradually dissipating from the Orient world. What should I do? I watched the secular kings and nobles, and the magicians who secretly helped to capture our faith from the people. In the end, the Church of the Glorious Lord went into ruin. Turn's young knight is still unable to suppress the anger in his heart. The times are developing, and we need to change. We will be ruined and will eventually die. The glory of the glorious Lord is dissipating, and a dark age is coming soon. Once the original contract expires, my church will become all the wolves and beasts. The first target of savage, Cardinal Ansis closed his eyes. It is the Lord who has forsaken us, not that we have forsaken the Lord. At that time, all the glory of the Lord's power will be from the entire Orient dissipate. We will become pigs with countless wealth but no strength, let others slaughter. How is it possible? Bishop adults. There are 300 million people in the world of Orient. How much faith can you provide? We are the shepherds of the Lord. How can the Lord give up this world and completely abandon us? I can't believe it. This is just one of my guesses, the worst one. The Pope, who is in the holy city of Vatican, still believes that everything is the test of the Lord. Cardinal, on the face of Anthony there was a sneer. We must be prepared early. The world needs of light. If the Lord of glory leaves, we will create a new God. Make God. Stern Knight's face flashed a trace of horror. Aunts, you are the language of blasphemy, are you crazy? At this moment, an inexplicable sacred and grand breath suddenly enveloped him, instantly disintegrating the power of his body, the glory of the Lord, and separating his whole person from the world. A sacred and sweet, as if soft and intimate to the extreme voice echoed in his ear, Stern Knight, are you willing to be my followers? Will you fight for me from now on? A dawn shines in front of Stern, a sacred and powerful illusion is shining like a rising sun, and the radiance of holiness is shining on her body. To be continued. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 297. This power has transcended the realm that mortals should have, and the golden light shines through the entire contemplative room, just like the deities. What exactly are you? Stern felt that his beliefs and devout beliefs in his life had been violently impacted. Bixawaz Pinyin. Lord of the Morning, Elysia. The first light of the world of Orient, transcends the powerful existence of the sanctuary. Bishop Anthus raised his hands high and his face with an excited look. The original contract, it is the contract between the two gods, Silver Moon and the Lord of Glory. With this contract, the Lord of Glory is able to cross the cosmic wall and the endless plane, and shine his glory in this world. Upon expiration, the glory of the Lord will also leave, and the myriad of those who have long lurked in the shadows will surface, begin to compete for faith, and strive to seal the gods. All my powers come from the Oron special plane. I have been the bishop of the glory of the millennium. The glittering sound of the figure echoed in the little contemplative room. The Lord of glory is gone. Day is when I am on the peak. O Lord! Why are you doing this? Why should you abandon your devout servant? You are one, you are 10,000, you are a great creator, a supreme sacred existence. Stern fell to the ground, prayed and burst into tears. Enough. I can't see the idiots of the situation. If it wasn't for Tyrion who asked me to point you, you have no chance to see the greatness of the Lord of the Morning, Cardinal Ansis said loudly. My godfather? No, no, how is it possible? He is the dean of the Ode to the Holy College, the most devout believer. Stern could not believe. Stern, you are too disappointing. In the Church of the Glorious Lord, it is not only me who wants to be honored by the Lord of the Morning. Lord, Bishop Anthony smashed the wide sleeve, the Lord of the Morning, this is the first light of the world, and will inevitably grow into the great existence of the Goddess of Light. After the glory of the Lord of Glory dissipates, it is the Lord of the Morning who will be on the throne. And Sissy, thank you for your support, I will not let you down, Jing Guangxiu said calmly. I am also planning to ignite the fire of the gods, and the existence of the gods is nearly 10. and the church of the glorious Lord is my biggest opportunity, and rely on me. Lord, Lord of the great dawn, the light will never be lost, said Onsees. Very good. The Sylvester Frost is very mysterious. I can't see his past future. It is probably a chess piece that exists in the same level as me. Keep watching him and know him. After this sentence, it is attributed to nothingness, as if it has never appeared. Bishop of Anthos, if the Lord of Glory really abandoned us, I am willing to deliver the faith to the Lord of the Morning. Stern knows that the other party has been showdown. If he does not express his position, today is the dead. It seems that you still don't believe me very much. But don't worry, this time will not be too far. Bishop Anthos's dry hands gently rubbed on the books. Xavi Frost, is it, are you the chess piece of the first Lotolafid, who is interested in becoming the of magic? 11 Wei did not know that so many big people were paying attention to him to discuss him. He is now fishing for fish. Yes, it is the use of the extended mental power to make the thread, through the space barrier of the main material plane, and to fish the space mark of another plane in the multi-planet beyond the Orient plane. However, the most closely related to the main material plane of the Orient world is the multifaceted surface. These half-planes are large and small, open and closed, some belong to the land without the Lord, and some have the owner. The biggest function of these half-planes is to make all kinds of space magical things. The semi-planets that have been detected and used have unique markings and extra protection that cannot be linked. However, outside the main material plane, there are still a large number of unknown semi-planets, such as the sediment in the river. The spiritual strength of Zai can easily connect to these semi-planets and obtain the space markers hidden in them. This is undoubtedly an opportunity to learn to exercise. The space mark is a very hidden and indescribable message, and the inheritance of the Void Traveler Grodik is undoubtedly the easiest way to find and lock the space logo. At the same time as the large and small half-plane markers, Zai Wei's understanding of space spells and the application of their own spiritual power are constantly growing. This is also the most effective and value-creating way he has chosen now. Fishing with astrology outside the main material level with 4 spells per day, you can find 2 or 3 plane markers that make space magic. After processing, they form a space magic object of the same size and small size with the same violet emblem, most of which are in the form of rings. Zai Wei has begun the deduction of 12 second-order void inscriptions, but because of the difficulty of these empty inscriptions, the speed of Zai Wei's deduction has slowed down. It took 2 weeks to complete the performance. The mystery of the second-order void inscription. But in the process, 11 Wei's understanding of space spells is progressing at a very fast pace. If 1 month ago his understanding of space spells was just a flash, transmission of the array, now he is already a space school magician. It's just an analysis of the 12 first-order void inscriptions. Zai Wei himself has performed 6 5-ring space spells and 3 6-ring space spells. One of the most practical spells is called by Zai Wei, long-distance material transfer. It is important to know that the initial transmission location is limited to the area of view, but it is impossible to transmit over long distances. Even now, Zai Wei can't transfer directly from Violet to Ayacho or Palermo. But he can already deliver a certain amount of inanimate matter directly so far. Zai Wei has lived a leisurely day in Violet Island for a while, and it is also the most comfortable time after he came to this world. Because he knows that as his 3 magical popular readings are sold in the Kingdom of France and throughout the continent of Orient, Violet will usher in a new development peak, and I will truly be from this small island in the Golden Sea. Go to the center of the world. On the last day of February, Friendship stopped at the port of Violet. A handsome young man with dark blue hair and dark hair walked down the sea boat. He was alone, without any baggage, just like going on a suburb. The spring tour is generally pleasant. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 298. Seeing it in the eye, it is a city that only appears in fairy tales. Red, blue, white, and yellow, large chunks of monotones flood into the field of vision, but they don't look cluttered, but unexpected coordination. A beautiful beauty. There is only one possibility, that is, the city is completely unified and planned. Few people will do this kind of thing, because it means that the land and industry belong to the same person, otherwise it will not be able to achieve this level of coordination, and those who have the ability to do this will use their own money for building a house by others. Even if the city is under its own control. Walking in a clean, almost invisible city, in addition to the faint sea breeze, there is a fresh fragrance of flowers. There are not many residents in the small town, but no matter the men, women, and children, everyone has a happy smile on their faces, and the same is very rare. The warm sun shines in a clean and tidy town. The young people talk to the residents of the town and they know that this is the virtue and gift of the Lord Zaiwei adults, so that they can live happily here. Young people wandered around in the small town, and they had a general understanding of the town in a magical time, happiness, tranquility, and leisure. A pleasing bell suddenly broke the silence of the morning, and several figures quickly surpassed the youth, turning a corner at the front intersection and disappearing into the alley. The young people only had time to see these simple vehicles with two wheels that seemed to be riding around the blue wind, but they had a faster speed than the carriage. Just then, two girls in light green magic gowns walked out of the handicraft shop and walked toward the alley. Two beautiful girls, what is the transportation of the two wheels that have just passed? Asked the young polite. The youth was so handsome that the two girls quickly rushed to the red clouds, and a big courage responded, it's a windmobile. The college's latest fast-moving transportation, many people have bought one. Wind, is it related to the wind element? Qing Young asked, you are going to go. In front of the Black Tea Theater, today is the first of the love tragedies Romeo and Juliet of the new rehearsal of the drama club headed by Mrs. Winchell. It is said that this is Mrs. Winchell's special request to the president of Zaiwei. The script that came, a green-robed girl suddenly glanced at the silver decoration on the right hand. Under the transparent crystal glass dial, there were 3 different pointers at different speeds. The 9th magic time in the morning. There are still 5 minutes to start, we have to go soon. Is this a clock? A clock hanging on your wrist? The young man thought about it, and followed the girl who, trotting in the magic robe, came to the Black Tea Theater. This is a rare wooden structure that looks quaint and full of art. Is there a guest coming? Today there is a new drama, Romeo and Juliet. Just 3 silver coins can enter, a middle-aged man in a plaid shirt said with a smile. Well, then I buy a ticket. The youth paid 3 silver coins and walked inside the theater. The theater, which can accommodate 500 people, is now almost full. There are many students, and more are the citizens of the small town. The youth only came and found an empty seat in the last row. The stage has already opened. The thick narration sounded. The story takes place in the famous city of Verona. There are 2 giants with the same size. The grievances of the world have aroused new disputes. The blood has ruined the people's white hands. It is fate destined to these 2 enemies. After a pair of unfortunate lovers, their tragic and desolate annihilation reconciled their venerable deities. This love of life and death, as well as the sorrows of the 2 parents, killed a pair of passionate children. Today's drama. This is a very good drama, and it is also a drama that has never been played on the mainland of Orient. Although the young actors have some uneven interpretations, they can't hide the diamond-like story. Zaiwei Frost, the best-selling author, the madman who laid the foundation for the spread of magic, the friendly and benevolent lord, the excellent script creator, which side is the real you? When the heroine of the story, Romeo and Juliet, fell together, the tears of most of the audience began to flow outward, and this love tragedy deeply touched them. When the actors began to come out under the leadership of Mrs. Winchell, thunderous applause sounded in the small theater. Playing the heroes and heroes of Romeo and Juliet, it is Jude and Nightingale. Mrs. Winchell is a woman full of literary fan, she has rarely returned to Ajaccio, almost settled in Violet. In this case, she finally couldn't stand the almost desert-like atmosphere of the culture, and organized the first club of the Violet Academy, the Drama Club. Ever since I read the book How the Sorcerer Made by 11 Way, Mrs. Winchell realized that her principal was an excellent writer, so she did not hesitate to ask Ziwei to write for the drama club. A good script. Then there was the birth of Romeo and Juliet, and Mrs. Winchell liked the story at first sight. After the appointment of the Nightingale as the heroine Juliet, Mrs. Winchell began to select the actor of the actor Romeo among the members of the Violet Academy. 11 Way's accomplishments in emotional magic have far surpassed Mrs. Winchell's performance and high temperament fit, which is arguably the most suitable candidate for the role of Romeo. Unfortunately, Ziwei repeatedly resigned, and Mrs. Winchell had to give up this idea. In this case handsome Jude stood out from the crowd of melons and became the actor of Romeo. After a month of intense rehearsal, Jude paid a lot of effort and finally succeeded in deducting the charm that Romeo should have. Now the thunderous applause of the audience is his greatest compliment. Young people feel weak magical fluctuations in these people, apparently all students of the Violet Academy. Recalling the tragic and bitter experience of learning magic, the young man shook his head slightly. It's really a group of lucky people. Mixed in the crowd and walked out of the theater, many people rode on the windmill, and disappeared into the field of vision. It's really a means of speeding up the magic. However, the magic required is so meager, even an early-level magic apprentice can easily navigate. There is a glimmer of light in the eyes of the youth. This is the so-called magic industrial product for the upcoming blowout-like magic apprentices. To be continued. Arcane Age author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 299. The young man followed several walking students wearing magical robes to the end of the small town. On the broad and flat boulevard stood a red and white stop sign with the words, Nanhai Town Station. It turned out that this small town was called Nanhai Town. The young people thought about it while listening to the exchanges of people around them. There is still 2 minutes to start. The word minute has been heard for the second time. What does it mean? Soon, a large magic carriage drove quickly from afar and stopped at the stop. A group of students got into the carriage, but when the young people wanted to go, they were stopped. Please coin 1 silver coin. The young man took out a silver coin and threw it in the designated groove. He sat in the last row of the carriage, only to find that he was the green-robed girl he saw outside the theater. Is it really a coincidence? What do you call it? The youth showed a kind smile. Call me Lucy, she is Naya, the lively girl responded with a shyness. What about you? You can call me a card, the young man named Kami asked again. Are you a student at the Violet Academy? Yes, we are all. Are you? Kamiao took out a book, which was written by Ziwei, Teach You to Become a Magic Apprentice 1 month, and turned to the final enrollment guide. I came here to see this. Oh my god. This book was published for half a month. I heard the tutor say that it will take a month to get a new arrival, Lucy exclaimed. In fact, I was already a magician of the ring, Camus said with a smile. I just want to see the author of this book. I am his loyal reader. Where are you from? Is it Marseille? Or Toulon? Lucy asked curiously. No, I am coming from Wangdu Pai Li, Camus replied softly. How is it possible? Wangdu Pai Li will have to spend at least 20 days at this time, Lucy retorted. I was once taken by my father to go to Wangdu Pai, and spent a whole month on the road. Kami mysterious smile, no answer. In fact, he started alone on the second day of Teach You to Become a Magic Apprentice 1 month. He did not use any resources of the Chamber of Commerce, and went all the way south through the majority of the French kingdom. When I arrived in Toulon, I knew that the route to Violet Island had not been opened yet, so he took a tour around Ayacho and took the friendship number. It was almost a month since he left Par. You are a Pili? Even you are not far away to see the president of Ziwei. Is his book already very hot? After a moment, Lucy provoked the words again. Yes, the 3 books of President Ziwei are the top 3 in the best-selling list of the French kingdom this year. The book Meditation and Heart Lake broke the weekly best-selling history of the Kingdom of France. Nod, it is not polite to say that Sylvester Frost has become a household name in the Kingdom of France. This is really cool. The front row suddenly had a male student who had been eavesdropping and turned around, so, a lot of students will soon come to study from the entire Kingdom of France. Yes. This island will soon become more and more prosperous. Kami's tone is very positive. Kam, our president of Westway is a very good magician, he can definitely educate so many students. I hope that you can stay here to study, Lucy bravely encouraged. If it is possible, I will, Camus responded with a smile. The magic carriage arrived at the Violet Academy very quickly. The hospitable Lucy and the shy, unspoken Naya pulled the cart and visited most of the iconic buildings of the Violet Academy. This is an equally new college that has been designed with a long-term perspective in mind. These teaching and accommodation facilities are large enough to accommodate thousands of people at the same time. In Kamiao's view, there are only over 100 students in this Violet Academy, and most of the resources are idle. That is to say, Ziwei Frost has a complete plan, and it is in a ring. Advance his plan. Although he has not had time to see Sylvester Frost himself, Kami's impression on him is more and more vivid and more real. In the end, Kame bid farewell to the 2 passionate female students who came to the office of Yang, the vice president of Violet College, and rang the threshold. You want to see the headmaster of Westway? Yang nodded. Of course, I am going to visit Violetburg, you can go with me. There is no doubt that the seeds of the Pygmies' magical universal reading species have begun to sprout. And the first one to arrive is actually a ring magician, which is really a surprise. The 2 men arrived at the Violet Fort in a magic carriage and talked and laughed along the way. Chiao also had a general understanding of the young and excessive vice president. Young, wise, knowledgeable, and calm, is a very suitable person to be a deputy. And the level of the magician is far above himself, at least a middle-level magician. At noon, the magic carriage finally stopped in the courtyard of the Violet Fort. Although I have seen this fantastic and beautiful castle on the cover of the book Meditation and Heart Lake, Como thinks it is just art processing. However, when I saw the real Violet Fort, Kamiao realized that the exquisite painting on the cover could not show the charm of 1/10 of the castle. The dean of the Violet Academy, the owner of the castle, what kind of person is it? At the last moment of the upcoming meeting, the expectation of the card is also rising to the highest peak. Ziwei tutor, there is a guest coming from Wangdu Pai Li, want to see you. The high-ranking maid wearing a beautiful uniform full of artistic beauty led to the small meeting room on the 2nd floor of the castle. The owner of the fast Violet Fortress appeared in front of the card. Very young. This is the first reaction of Kami, with long blonde hair, blue eyes, and slender figure. Even wearing a luxurious purple magic robe, the first reaction is more like a handsome prince. After a closer look, Kamiao took a deep breath. The powerful magic power is condensed on the body of Ziwei, dignified like a mountain, vast as a sea. This degree of magical induction he only saw in his own mentor, and his mentor is a magic master who has worked hard for many years. In his blue eyes, there is a bright light of wisdom. This is the external manifestation of the soul level and spiritual strength after a certain degree. It has a very horrible charm and almost unconditionally convinces every sentence he says. Words, even if the toughness of the card for many years of exercise, almost lost in a moment. To be continued. Arcane Age author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 300. This is not a spiritual spell, but a soul that has moved to multiple levels. It is about to have or has been certified by a master. It has surpassed the brilliance of the strongest of most people on the magical path. Whether it is the soul or the magic level, this Sylvester Frost is infinitely close to a magic master. Kami made the final judgment. Although he was only a ring magician, he was influenced by the unique blood of the Rothschild family. His eyesight far exceeded his own strength. Ziwei opened the real magic eye and swept the young man with long dark hair. He is indeed a ring magician, but the body contains a strange blood, a standard blood aristocrat. Which young man are you? Ziwei was sitting in a chair. The two maids served black tea for both the guests and the host, and they left the small meeting room. I am from the Rothschild family. In front of the eyes of Sylvia's mysterious light, Kami found himself unable to hide. The Rothschild family behind the Fortune Chamber of Commerce. The tone of Ziwei was slightly higher. It's really a famous name. My intentions have nothing to do with the family. In fact, I have already been out of the family heirs. Kumo never allowed his emotions and words to be controlled by others so easily. He tried to take the initiative. I saw you 3 books come. I want to see the author of Sylvester Frost. I am very curious. Are you an educator, speculator, chess piece, or madman? 11 Wei smiled lightly. So now you have seen me, what is your conclusion? The above is not. You are an ambition to develop new forces throughout the Orient continent and establish a new order, said K. Ziwei never sniffs anyone. The young man in front of him has only the strength of a magician, but his eyes are shining with wisdom. His brain is full of various strategies and knowledge. He has keen observation and super action. Even such an ordinary person can make a head, not to mention that he is a member of the Rothschild family. Although Ziwei has a lot of followers around him, there are still too few successful candidates available. The young people in front of him are the first to vote from Wangdupai Li, even if it is a mediocre. A noble but leisurely position, let alone a talent that is very good at first sight. I just want to promote the universal education of magic, and what is the relationship with the ambitions? Ziwei began the test. This is equivalent to a recruitment interview, the process of two-way selection. Education has always been an industry that loses money, and like the president of Ziwei, it is necessary to expand the enrollment of dozens of times, and I am blunt. In the thousands of years of Orient, you are the first. Realizing the current situation, he put away the usual frivolity and laziness, and fully activated his brain and organized the most rigorous language. What is losing money? Our Rothschild family specializes in doing business, and the sensitivity to wealth has been engraved in the bones. The armed army is a loss-making business, but as long as it wins, it can avoid losses and win more profits. Recruiting people, it is a loss-making business, but as long as the talent is effective, it can create more value. So the president of Ziwei, you are now losing money to do education, it is just investing in the future. Investment? So what will my return be? Thousands of students come from all over the continent of Orient. They have changed their destiny. Your thoughts have taught them as your students. Most of you will be your loyal followers and supporters in the future. Today, Kumo saw the windmill and magic watch in Nanhai town, and you know that you have a clear plan for the future of these magic apprentices. President Ziwei, you can use the master rank, the first method things of Lord Turafat. I want to build another tower of thousands of ways. Kamiao stood up and bowed. Card is deeply admired. If the return on investment is so rich, why is there only one Turafat in the millennium? It's not just one Turafat, but because of the first law of Tolafat, the glory of the thousand family tower. K smiled and said, because of people, the president of Ziwei is also a wonderful person. Guangzhou Violet College has already had a comprehensive consideration in the mind. It is not something that I can tell from an outsider. I am just a little high-ranking magician. How do you compare it with the first law Tolafat? Ziwei shook his head gently. Because of this, I am not far from 1,000 miles, to see the side of the president of Ziwei. I wonder if I let the gentleman down. The president of Ziwei is a big man, and it will definitely be a generation of heroes. After the publication of the 3 books, the future has reached the extreme, and the rise of the violets is unstoppable. In this case, I wonder if Mr. Kami is willing to join my Violet Academy to achieve a brilliant career together. Ziwei can be sure that the member of the Rothschild family in front of him, although his personal strength is very weak, but the strategic vision is one-on-one unique. As a member of the Rothschild family, the leader of the Chamber of Fortune Chambers, he must have a very professional business operation ability, and it is the best helm of the Violet Chamber of Commerce that is ready to go. The card is just a small ring magician. It is just an ordinary person in the magic way. I wonder if I can help the president of Ziwei. Obviously, this is a card that is asking yourself. Beauties and treatments. Since Mr. Kamiao has seen the windmills and magic watches, you should know the great commercial value of these products. These products are the future magic industrial products. And most of the talented magic apprentices will become the producers of the magic industry. And consumers, to become a part of the future magical civilization, enjoy the welfare of magical civilization. Ziwei briefly talked about the future. I am planning to set up a Violet Chamber of Commerce, but unfortunately because there is no suitable helm I haven't been able to start late. I wonder if Mr. Kami would be willing to take charge of the Violet Chamber of Commerce and promote the sales of magic products in the mainland of Orient. Thank you for the appreciation of the president of Ziwei. Kumo Yuan contributed a force to the development of the Violet. Kami once again agreed to the recruitment of Ziwei. For the card, Ziwei, who has the master's combat power, is not worried that he can carry out his own tricks. Personal strength is also a very crucial determinant for a leader of power. This is why he is now releasing magical power in front of the card. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 301. I don't know how many students the president of Ziwei plans to recruit. Kamiao raised a key question. The island of Violet is not big. There are not many fields in the way. Once the number of people exceeds 1,000, food is a big problem, not to mention the magic apprentices always consume a lot of rare materials such as casting materials and magical plants. I wonder if the preparations for the president of Ziwei are sufficient. About food, I have cultivated a good variety, and the card can come with me. Ziwei directly sent the card to the tower. Since the completion of the Violet Academy, the tower has been quiet, but it has not been abandoned here. After being promoted to the 5th Order Magician, Ziwei also specially arranged a defensive array for the tower. It has now become the base of the most secret and important magic research project in Violet. In the 4-story laboratory of the tower, the development of a super plant crop, codenamed Chen Guangmai, has reached its final stage. Ziwei once asked the Bonaparte Chamber of Commerce to collect seeds and plants from most of the mainstream high-yield food and cash crops in the mainland, and began special cultivation research. Ziwei focused on ensuring the advancement of this experiment. Professor Zero was the person in charge, and Yang and Merrill joined them as the main researchers. After more than 3 months of experimentation and improvement, the hybrid superspecies Chen Guangmai has been cultivated. This kind of wheat has a small amount of energy reaction that can greatly increase the photosynthesis. Under the sunlight of the day, it can emit a faint light, which looks like a shining earth. This is the origin of the name morning wheat. Now Chen Guangmai has already reached the stage of planting from the laboratory into the land. Although the population of the entire continent of Orient has increased to more than 300 million, there are still too many people still struggling on the brink of hunger and death. Any new breed that can proliferate mainstream food varieties is enough to trigger a war. Therefore, Ziwei is temporarily unable to promote this new variety on a large scale, and must find a hidden and fertile land to start planting. For the casting materials, Ziwei is also in short supply. Once the number of students in the Violet Academy is up, the amount of casting materials required can be described as an astronomical number. It cannot be solved by simple trade and is easily subject to people. Is this the morning light wheat that can at least double the production? Kamiao looked at the plants that were shining in the glassware and the simulated soil with a faint white light and large and full grain. The eyes flashed a little surprised. How many years? Many magicians have also tried to increase plant yield through magic experiments, but no one can succeed. It is said that only Ms. Yunya can lower the divine blessing and protect the annual harvest of the elves of Yangju Island. In fact, in the process of improving the wheat variety, Professor Zero has made great contributions and contributed. Her intelligent core records a large number of high-yielding plants, although the two worlds have vastly different species, but the method is undoubtedly universal. The 3 books of President Ziwei have made waves in the whole of France. Therefore, in the long run, there may be tens of thousands of ordinary people who have contacted the magic enlightenment because of these 3 books, and thus become a magic apprentice. Kamiao went on to say, but after all, the island of Violet is located on the Golden Sea outside the mainland. The traffic is inconvenient and the road is too far. Therefore, the apprentices who come to study this year should be in the thousands. So, in a short time, to reach the current ceiling of the Violet College. Originally, there are enough channel resources in several major powers in other continents, and it is possible to quickly promote the popularization of 3 magical readings. At present, it seems to be slowing down. If the president of Ziwei, if you limit your enrollment goals to a highly qualified apprentice who can become a magic apprentice within a month, I am afraid that the magician of the entire continent will be wiped out. I can't eat a fat man in one breath. In my opinion, elite education is not the only goal. What I want to do is the promotion of magic education. Ziwei explained his intentions for the future. These qualifications are insufficient. The time for students to study at Violet College is initially set at 3 to 4 years. After that, they will graduate, and I will choose some responsible, patient, and magical apprentices who have a solid foundation in the basic stage to return to their hometown to open a primary school of magic and popularize local magic. Education. In my blueprint, the most important thing is these ordinary magic apprentices, Ziwei said with a smile. The resources and time needed to train a magician are enough to train more than 10 magic apprentices. We are doing education, our vision can be long-term. With these seeds, after 10 years, the basic magic education of the entire continent of Orient will be greatly prosperous. I am taking the liberty to ask, is the president of Ziwei proud of being a Frenchman? Kamiao suddenly turned a topic and raised a somewhat sharp question. In my personal sense, magic has no boundaries. Ziwei realized what K is saying, and his eyes flashed brightly. In the Violet Academy, I will try my best to dilute national borders. In this case, Kamiao made a statement, and also asked the president of Ziwei to enroll in other sacred countries such as the Holy Norman Empire, the Kingdom of Italy, and so on. Don't let the French students have a big one. Just as the 5 laws dimensioned 300 years ago. Lord Kudo Hugo said, magic has no boundaries, but the magician has his own country. If the students of Violet are all French, I am afraid that they will be completely united in the future, and the key moment will resist the will of the president of Ziwei. There is no other person around the card, so I said excitedly. Ziwei finally realized a huge loophole in his plan. Different from the 35th century humans have no national race, and all belong to the same civilization. The continent of Orient is now a period of hegemony, and with the continuous development of productivity and education, the national trend is rising. In the Middle Ages, people only fought for their interests and families. But at the national stage, a nationalism and patriotism alone is a huge problem. This is not a big problem for Ziwei, but it is not just relying on one country, but trying to build a superpower across borders. Thank you for your advice. I have some omissions. Ziwei knew that his girlfriend Natalia was a standard French militarist, except for the first batch of high towers such as Yang, Faowei, etc. people. the current Violet Academy is gradually forming two groups of Corsigia and Palom. If you only want to recruit geniuses who want to climb all the way on the path of the magician and pursue the magical truth, then the problem of the country will naturally not be a problem. But Ziwei wants a lot of magic apprentices, and can't get rid of this problem. To be continued. Arcane Age author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 302. Although Ziwei's personal charm is large, it is impossible for the apprentices to completely forget their country and nation. If the Kingdom of France and the Holy Norman Empire begin to fight in the future, and then join the half of the French students of the Violet Academy and half of the students of the Holy Norman Empire, then the division of the college will become inevitable, not the will of the West. The Thousand Law Tower is able to maintain its de facto neutrality. It is also because the Tukhafat was still in the Middle Ages when it established this magical holy place. The national concept of the nation has not risen, and the Thousand Law Tower is doing elite education, only recruiting the most. The reason for the excellent magical genius. Among the students of the Violet Academy, I am afraid that I can get the standard of the Thousand Method Tower. Then the question came, and Ziwei's face was very dignified. In your opinion, will there be a large-scale war in the Orient continent within a few years? Since the 30 Years' War, the continent of Orient has had a brutal battle that has not experienced the war of great powers for hundreds of years. The energy of all countries has been used in the development of the multifaceted plane and the New World. If there is no big change, there should be a long period of stability and peace. The original contract ends, the time of the upcoming chaos. Ziwei did not know how close this is coming, but he knew that there was not much time left for his own farming. Once the original contract is over, the entire continent of Orient will probably fall into chaos, and countless ambitions will take advantage of it. How can there be such a good opportunity to recruit talents from the whole of the Orient continent and develop your own college? So you must race against time and seize the opportunity to grow yourself. The transmission spell returned to Violetberg with the card, and Ziwei said to Kamiao, Mr. Camus also wants to live in the Violet Fort. Ziwei took out a gold identity plate and a blue crystal ring engraved with a violet badge. Is this? When Kami started, he found that it was a space ring. The space ring is not uncommon. There is one card, but the half face is large enough to hold the space ring of the entire Violet Fort, but it is extremely rare. This size and solid half face is precious to the extreme, and is the core resource that countless space magicians like to make space devices. Although using the rich enemy to describe some exaggeration, the value of such a space magical object cannot be measured by gold coins. This is also the largest half-plane space that Ziwei has been fishing for in the sky during this time. As a president of the Chamber of Commerce, there must be enough space to carry the goods, Ziwei said with a smile. This is the hiring gift I have prepared for you. There is also a random transmission attached to the space ring. It can be activated when life is at risk and will send you to a random safe location within 100 kilometers nearby. Although this person is young, his eyes are very good, and he can be said to be a first-class talent. Therefore, Ziwei does not hesitate to use the valuable treasures of the city to appreciate the talent. Thank you, President Ziwei. Kamiao will accept it. The young man with dark green hair calmly closed the ring, as if he had just taken an ordinary gift. Only his inner volatility has been sensed by 11 Wei. Ziwei smiled lightly. This gold nameplate is the highest grade identity plate inside the Violet Academy. It has the right to travel in most areas. There is also a volume of top secret information about my Violet Academy, which can help you understand this more deeply. College and Island. For the time being, the guest stayed in Violet Fortress as a distinguished guest. The Garden Villa group on the small lakeside of Violet College has entered the final stage of decoration, and it will naturally be assigned to the card. After leaving the card, Ziwei did not start fishing today, but came to the back garden of the Violet Academy, the martial arts field on the edge of the white sand beach. It was originally very quiet, but it has recently become a training base for both Natalia and Charlotte. It is training, mainly Natalia's pointing to Charlotte. On the road of the Blood Knight, he has been promoted to the 6th stage. Natalia, who has a complete inheritance, can of course be a Charlotte instructor. Just bypassing a white wall, Ziwei saw the dark red magic wing of Charlotte and the sharp sword in his hand. She is working hard against the opposite Natalia attack, but she was easily picked up by Natalia. Not bad, dear, you have now been promoted to the level of the 2nd ring Blood Knight, this is already very fast. Your blood circulation in the body is very high. Under my guidance, you should be within 1 year. Can become a high-ranking Blood Knight. Natalia is light at the tip of the Charlotte sword, Charlotte is like a smashed stone body is uncontrollable spread to the ground. At this moment, a blue wind suddenly entangled in Charlotte, the whirlwind easily separated the two, Charlotte flew to the corner of the training ground under the wind, falling into the broad warmth of Ziwei in 8 meow 8 by, **, GE $8. Hey, finally have time to see us training. Natalia put her hands behind her back and showed her more mature and attractive body in front of Ziwei. Today's training is here. Come on. Have a smelly sweat, or take a shower to be comfortable. After half a magic time, 3 people appeared in the indoor swimming pool. Charlotte, wearing a red swimsuit, swam back and forth in the pool, and it was like a mermaid. Ziwei and Natalia sat by the pool, their calves patted gently on the water, but they talked about a very serious question. Nata, what are your plans for the future? This is the first time that Ziwei and Natalia have talked about the future. This discussion is crucial and determines whether they can really come together in the future. I intend to become a qualified family heir, and inherit the title from the father to become the new Earl of Bonaparte, Natalia responded with some sorrow. This is your parents' expectation for you, the responsibility that is on your shoulders, but not the real thoughts in your heart, 11 Wei said indifferently. The blue eyes looked directly at Natalia. Tell me deep inside, what do you really think about? Natalia looked at Ziwei in a dull manner. For the first time, she found that when Ruya's boyfriend had such a sharp look, she knew that she could not escape and could only face this problem. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 303. I was looked directly by Ziwei, and Natalia, who was forced to retreat into the corner, finally spoke up. Then I said it, don't laugh at me. Ziwei nodded softly, no matter what kind of dream, I will not laugh at you. You know, I was awakened by the blood of the wind elves, and I was trained as a family heir. Natalia's right hand gently licked the long blonde hair scattered on her forehead and began to enter the state of memory, the water surface. The radiance of light and darkness reflected on her face. The most gentleness of the bow, like a water lotus, can't win the breeze of the cool breeze. This moment of Natalia, is so bright and unpredictable. I studied mainland military, politics, history, law and philosophy. These lessons are so boring for a child under 10. So I slowly fell in love with the biography of the great guys in history. The story is a busy leisure, as a dessert in bitter medicine. The great man of Alexander, who created the first great empire of mankind, created King Charlemagne of the Kingdom of France, avenged his father's revenge, and finally succeeded in ascending the throne, and let the kingdom of Risa take the strong path of King Peter. When I read these books, I first entered the followers around them, imagining that I assisted these heroic emperors, and made great achievements, becoming great figures that can be recorded in history books. However, in the end, I prefer to be someone who can control my own destiny as opposed to others. At this time, I began to enter the real emperor. I am coming, I saw, I conquered. This is the famous saying that Alexander the Great has been passed down through the ages, and the words that can make my body's blood boil and burn. In my heart, I also hope to be such a big man. Even dream of being able to unify Europe in the future and complete the unfinished business of Alexander the Great. Natalia has become completely different. This moment, she is like a completely unsuccessful sword, shining with the brilliance. Who can think of a small 18-year-old girl who has the dream of surpassing the greatest emperor Alexander the Great in human history? The unification of the European continent means defeating the five great powers of the Holy Norman Empire, the French Kingdom, the Kingdom of Iton, the Kingdom of Rennes, and the Rhine Union. There are also forces such as the glorious Lord Church that are stronger than the state. At this time, Natalia, as if to return to the first time when Ziwei saw her in the Golden Sea, the sharp and unparalleled when a sword opened a huge sea boat. This is the real Natalia, facing up and no longer suppressing the true thoughts of the heart. Because of Ziwei's sake, Natalia only had a long hair and began to slowly reveal the charm that women should have. Ziwei, are you saying that this is just a slang of a manic person? In fact, as I get bigger and more sensible, I know that I want to go beyond Alexander the Great. What an incredible thing to truly unify Europe is. I am afraid that even if it is coming to the earth, it is impossible to accomplish such a great feat. Natalia smiled as if she wanted to abandon all these mad thoughts when she was young, and live with the attitude of an adult. Just between the electric flint, Ziwei clung to Natalia's left hand and said in the most gentle tone, "This is not an idiotic slang, nor a young madness, this is the true desire in your heart, it is also the biggest pursuit of your life. Thank you for really understanding me." Ziwei, Natalia gently snuggled in the arms of Ziwei, feeling his warmth, "But this is really just a dream that cannot be realized, Ziwei. I will study hard to be a qualified wife, and I will lead Corsica and Violet together with you to build our own home." Such Natalia, a gentle wife, a virtuous mother, is really the perfect woman in her heart. Ziwei had to admit that Natalia, who had just been in the blink of an eye, was the most perfect female image in her heart. "Natalia, as your man, future husband, I support you to pursue your dreams. The original contract is about to expire, and the entire continent of Orient will inevitably fall into chaos in the near future. The ambition and hero must taking advantage of the trend, the mainland's balance of power will inevitably be broken, and the opportunity to unify the European continent will come." Ziwei inspired Natalia in his arms with high-pitched and full of emotions, "Not to mention that we are not nothing, you have a Piaget backing, and I have a magic school that is destined to go to glory. You are a blood knight, I am a magician, we all have a position far beyond our peers, and we will certainly be able to joining the summit. On the stage of the mainland, there must be your role." Ziwei clung to Natalia and looked at the brighter hope light in her eyes, "And I firmly believe that I will be the hero of the era and destiny of the Orient, and you are the heroine who is destined." After receiving a wonderful reminder, Ziwei discovered the key factor that the nation-state has always been ignored by him. However, according to the suggestion made by Jiao, the students from other mainland powers can solve the problem to a certain extent, but they finally fall into the next generation. The nation-state is, of course, a narrow-minded era, but it is also a huge driving force in this era. The complete francization of the entire force, although letting his choices narrow a lot, gave him the opportunity to intervene in the interior of France and take advantage of the situation. Before the chaos comes, try to increase your influence on the whole kingdom and the French magician, and build the college's accumulated strength. Once the chaos comes, grasp the opportunity to ride the momentum, at least can also achieve a hegemony, become the drama of the Orient role. Next, it is the protagonist or the supporting role. Just look at the accumulation of layout in the early stage and the strategizing in the chaos. In this way, we can borrow strength and develop our own forces as quickly as possible. If Ziwei knew that he had talked in the pensive room of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Par, he would be more certain about his judgment of the future situation. The glory of the glorious Lord is slowly dissipating, and the old order of Orient is coming to an end. Numerous powerful beings that have been suppressed by the original contract for thousands of years are trying to ignite the fire and achieve the true God who is not dead. Good. Let us join hands and do the heroine of this Ulant, Natalia's eyes became firm, and her eyes shone like diamonds. Natalia will never spend a lifetime in mediocrity. I will practice my promise and work hard to realize my lifelong dream. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 304. Among the cabins of Wang Du Paris Les, Trees is nervously reading through the book How to Become a Magic Apprentice in a Month, whispering in his mouth, "Lawn, cut, break." A faint white light condenses at his fingertips, dyeing his fingertips slightly. However, due to the tension of the spirit, the supply of magic was interrupted, and this attempt to cast again failed. Oh! It has failed, Trees sighed. It's already 28 days. Isn't my talent in magic too low? The distance is already very close, Trees, Tracy encouraged. Tense will make mistakes, relax. You are right, I already have my own magic. I have fully understood the principle of this spell. Everything is because I am too nervous. Today's magic is only the last chance to try, I must to be successful. Trees took a deep breath, then took a look at the book's explanation, closed his eyes and put the book down. Lawn, cut, break, sire, sui, 5 magical syllables in one go. Trees feels that the last remaining magic in his body is condensed in the heart of the lake, the spell model full of simple beauty. The tip of the index finger is a little fever, the whole body is full of a feeling of comfort. Your finger is shining, like a little sun. Kui 11 surprised and stunned. You succeeded, Trees, you have mastered the last light. You have done it in a month. Yes, I did it. Within 28 days, secret law imprint, frozen ray, copying, weak resistance enhancement, and brightening, I have mastered all 5 zero-ring spells in the book. I can go to Violet College. Reported. Treeser is excited not to be himself, he really did it? After buying the book teaching you to become a magic apprentice 1 month from the Bauhinia bookstore, he has never been to even one of the Legrand Knights College, and he has studied these 5 zero-ring spells in his own room all day. His magic has grown to 3 standard magics, and all 5 spells are mastered. Treeser, are you really going to study at the Violet Academy on the Gold Sea? Tracy asked nervously, so far away from the secluded place. Of course, being a great magician is all my life's ideal. Without the guidance of Master Sylvester Frost, how can I have a chance to embark on the magical path? Even if Violet is far away, I also ask study there, Trees said excitedly. I plan to go to the Legrand Knights College tomorrow to go to school, and the next day I will cross the sea. Treeser, can you help me? I also have magical talents, I also want to go to the Violet College to study. Tracy suddenly fell to the front of Trees. My talent is not good, there is Trees you the guidance, I also mastered a secret imprint spell, I have no money, this road has a lot of money. Look for your father. You will soon become a magic apprentice, and you will become a magician in the future. Your father will definitely give you this money. Trees gave Trisha a suggestion. No, my father won't make this money for me, Tracy shook his head. In the past 3 years, I have paid more than 5 gold coins for rent. Your father still has his own business. He is still doing business. He is hooked on gambling, and all the shops are lost. You didn't notice that he was early and late in the recent period, and he was so angry that he was getting less and less money at home. Is it the only commemoration left by my mother, the silver pocket watch that she and her father were commemorating when they were married and sold by my father? Tracy cried. This is really a human tragedy. Trees shook his head and took out a silk handkerchief to help the girl Sui 11 dry the tears in her eyes. 3 nights ago, he was lifted from the bed in the middle of the night. I just didn't sleep. I heard the thugs talking with him. He still owes money to the thugs of the 20 hardware. This is still the small ancestral rumor. The arrears after the sale of the building. Those thugs have come to take my dead, Kui 11 said in desperation. I don't want to go to the dark streets of Nanchinj district as a prostitute, so I am afraid that I will die for up to a year. Trees, you help me, let me go to Violet Academy with you to study. I will be your maid and help you with your laundry. Tracy, Trees gently pulled her up. We are friends, aren't we? You have helped me a lot these days. I will never let my friends down. Thank you, Trees. Tracy's eyes were swollen like a peach. Today, when you go back to rest, you don't have anything to do. Pack your belongings, don't bring too much. I will go to the school for tomorrow, and I will leave after I come back. Trees took the shoulders of Kui 11. Watching her go out of her room. The bridge that only appeared on the protagonist of the night's novel was finally met by himself, isn't it? I am already a magic apprentice. Trees' face showed a playful smile, a code of obedience to the Knight the Magician. Imagine some feelings. I also have a day to be a hero. The next day, just after the day, Trees walked out of the small building in the look of the girl Sui West, and came to the Legrand Knights College not far away. This is not Trees' Lord Vincent, the noble heir to the Viscount? How do you have time to visit the Knights College today? Just entering the college gate, Trees heard a disgusting voice like a fly. Lenkat? This is not our high school student? Why haven't they been promoted to the Cavaliers? It should have already fallen out of the top 50 of our period. Trees was a low-key, anti-normal disgusting self. The guy sneered. It's always better than the trash at the end of your crane. Teacher Checo has already applied to the dean to expel the guy who missed you for a month. You have to get out of the kingdom, and roll back to your country to play mud. Township, Lunkat did not expect Trees to dare to provoke his mouth. He was furious and pointed at Ziwei. It seems that some people have forgotten my identity. As a civilian, I dare to provoke a nobleman. Trees blinked in the eyes. I need to give you a lesson. Lunkat is a small number of civilian-born students in the Legrand Knights College. He has great envy and hatred for the nobles, but he dares not to provoke those real strong men. The lonely little aristocrat sneered and satirized their distorted mind. Arcane Age. Author, Yulin Dudu. Chapter 305. You want to teach me? Ha ha ha, I am not mistaken? Everyone listens. Our future Viscount is frustrated and angry, and I have to fight with my Lunbut. Lunbut immediately started the big door and shouted, will be nearby. People's attention has been concentrated. Duel? You are not worthy. Trees knew that Lumbert wanted to make himself ugly in front of everyone. If he had no confidence in defeating Lunkat a month ago, he is now winning. Many people who watched the crowds came together and surrounded the two people in the middle. Trees is an inconspicuous son of the Southern Viscount, and for the first time in a month, he has become one of the worst students in the college. Although the recent decline in the rankings of Lumbert, but also because he is a civilian family, the resources are far less than the majority of the students born in the aristocratic family. But in this case, Lumbert is already about to master the vindictiveness, and the distance is not far from being an official knight. A disparity in the battle. Trees seems to be really angry. Someone shook his head. Trizer is a nobleman after all. As long as he does not respond, Lumbert cannot take him, but as long as in the name of the duel, Lumbert can justify him with a good word. Neither of them had weapons or armor. Under the onlookers of dozens of people, a battle between men began. No one noticed that Trees had secretly activated the magic when he looked like the active skeleton, and saved the cold chill in his palm. 5 basic zero-ring spells. Trees' favorite is the only killing spell Frozen Ray. This spell is also his first learned spell. In the actual process, he found that if the frozen rays are not caused, they will leave a cold chill in the palm of their hand, and will only dissipate when the magic is exhausted. He has just become a magic apprentice. Even if he shoots a frozen ray, it only makes the body of Lunbut stiff. After the activity was completed, with a sigh of anger, Trees flew up and went straight to the 10-step out of Lenbit. This is a rush. With the pace of adjusting the breathing to sprint quickly, Trees is quite decent. It's useless. The difference between the two is too great. Lumbert is almost a formal knight. The breathing method has greatly enhanced his strength, and Trees is not likely to win. The two clenched fists slammed together, but to the surprise of everyone, Trees looked unaffected, but instead Lumbert, who was close to the cavalier's level, made a scream. His right hand had been released. Trees smiled. This is the power of the magic element, more cold than the natural ice and snow. The two men add to each other's fists, but every impact is accompanied by the boring of Lumbert. He only feels that every collision with his body is frozen. Hey, just as Lumbert's body was stiff and had lost his fighting spirit, Trees suddenly mobilized the whole body's strength to rise high. The whole body gyro generally violently rotates, and the powerful long legs are like a long whip. Lumbert's face. Basic combat skills, whip legs. Trees' hard work for a year is by no means ineffective. He is very skilled in mastering all kinds of basic combat techniques. However, he is limited by the power of decisive factors and the mastery of the knight's vindictiveness, so that the results can only fall on the countdown. Column. Lenbit's tall and strong figure fell to the ground, and he was hit by the powerful lashing legs of Trees. He was afraid to lie on the bed for a while. In the eyes of everyone's surprise, Trees took care of the clothes and turned and walked out of the crowd. Really cool. Trees found his own knight tutor, Checo, who is a Risa, very old-fashioned. Trees had been called to the office by Checo several times for disciplinary reasons, so he was no stranger to the office of the company. You are here? Trees, I really have you, dare not come to class for a month, Checo said with a blank expression. This time you pull out the Viscount of Vincent. It is useless, my report. Already hit up, you will be fired immediately. The Legrand Knights College will never let students like you corrupt the reputation of the school. The report has already been marked. That's good. It doesn't seem to require me to say anything more. Goodbye, Daco mentor. I know that you are a responsible mentor, and you have been disappointed in these 3 years. Z has a standard night ceremony for the deed, which may be the last time he did this action. One day, I will be the pride of the Knights of Legrand. You stand for me. Come back. Who will let you go? Seeing that Trees' figure disappeared outside the office, the Chico mentor quickly stood up and shouted. At this moment, 2 people came in with a coma in Rumbat. The Daco tutor. Trees hit someone. Just now he stunned Lumbert Sr. Beat? Lumbert can't beat Trees. Checo went up to check Lumbert's injury. At first glance, he noticed the pale blue mark under the skin of Rumbat. As soon as the finger is pressed, there is a touch of frost and coldness. It's a frosty element. Is it elemental magic or frosty? Checo's thoughts turn like electricity, so that in any case, Trees is an outstanding student with extraordinary potential. He hurriedly chased out and left 2 stupid stalkers pointing to the followers of the Leco mentor for Lenbit. However, at this time, Trees had already flown to the love of Machauer prepared by his father, and he rushed out of the Legrand Knights College, where he lived for 3 years. Going back to the small building and turning over, Trees found that the remote and dilapidated small building was in turmoil. A group of thugs were randomly checking all the belongings of the landlord's house, and the beard pulled a sullen look like a 20-year-old landlord. And the nervous like a bunny is generally uneasy, and the girl Sue West is standing in the hall. Trees did not see it, went straight upstairs to his room to take out the baggage that had been packed, and then quickly walked down the stairs. Triser, Kui 11 cried in surprise, as if to see the savior. Trees directly took the girl's hand, held her behind her, and walked out of the crowd and the small building. You are the son of Viscount Wenson? Students of the Knights of Rog? My younger brothers have not moved your things, nor have you been enemies with you. A middle-aged man with sunglasses lit a cigar. Come, Stop trees sway, just her father still owes us 25 French gold coins, this little girl has been used by his father to pay off debt so you can go, she stay. Trees completely ignored the middle-aged man in sunglasses, and helped Kui 11 to get on the horse. He jumped up and pulled the reins. Then he looked down and watched the large mob in the small courtyard. This is my answer. His fingertips shimmered in the cold light, and a blue light came straight out, instantly freezing a long ice area. Magic. The mob stepped back and let a passage open. Trees Sma Yang whip, with the girl Sui 11 speeding away, Sui 11 tightly wrapped in the waist of Trees, a happy smile. Don't kill the old man. I will be back in a while, and then pay back your money. The two men rode and grew away, leaving a group of people who were dumbfounded. Damn old guy. Your daughter can be climbed on a high branch, the middle-aged man in sunglasses sipped in the blue ice that shimmered in the sun. Take this old guy back, we just miss a big manure, this is what he did for him. To be continued.